Welcome back to my channel, Sunshine Shoulders. I'm Calvin. Thank y'all so much for stopping by again today. Relationship mistakes I made in the Philippines, so you don't have to. As you've been following me for any considerable period, you know that majority of my videos are about me, what I'm seeing, living, experiencing over here in the Philippines. Hindsight is always 20/20. As I look back, I see that these were mistakes that I made when I was dating women and entering into relationships with them. You know, a subscriber, shout out Ron Lawson, on my live stream the other day, he said, "Hey Cal, can you give us 5 things to look for on a dating site?" And I was like, well, I did, but then I said, well, hell, I'll go a step further and tell them the mistakes, the relationships mistakes I made. Now, you're grown men, you're probably not going to listen, but I need to make this video. The very first mistake that I made, this is about me, is I sent too much money in the beginning. You don't have to do that. I didn't even have to do that looking back. This is even before I knew whether or not we were going to click, whether or not we were going to even meet in the airport or when I got to the Philippines. I was sending money. Too much money. When really all I had to do was to make sure that she had enough money to meet me. So if, let's take my wife, for instance, she lived in Zamboanga. All I really had to do was give her enough for airfare from Zamboanga to Cebu, which is not that much, certainly back in 2010. And, you know, give her some money to, for her expenses, you know, something to eat, you know, maybe when she, you know, got to the airport, she was going to be hungry. Maybe buy her a load on her phone or something like that. Probably less than $100, but there's no telling how much I ended up spending. And this is with all the relationships, when I look back on it, I was doing. So that's the biggest mistake. The second mistake that I made was moving too fast with these young ladies. There's a lot that goes into moving too fast, entering into these relationships, moving them in before we even knew each other. See, I'm going to interview Marilyn. Marilyn's going to take me back to her old neighborhood today. I'm going to interview her there just to show you how little you know about the women that you're chatting with or living with right now. You know very little about them. So I moved them in real quick. And the mistake I made, one of the mistakes I made was I was having sex with no rubbers. I wasn't using any condoms, any type of birth control. And, you know, I've got 3 children over here. That's a mistake. That's a big mistake, you know, having children. My son's mother, she was pregnant on the first night. You know, hindsight being 20/20, you look back and you say, I met her in January, whatever it was, the middle of January, I think January 10 or something like that. And our son was born November the 3rd. She got pregnant the very first night. And she was shocked because I stayed here 2 months. And when I went home, she figured out, oh, I'm pregnant. And she panicked because, you know, she had never dealt with a foreigner before. She didn't know how I was going to take it, whether I believed that the baby was mine or not. But that's neither here nor there. The mistake was, you know, I'm moving too fast. I'm sleeping with these women without condoms. And, you know, fortunate for them, I did the right thing by my children. I always have, you know, but another mistake I made, because when you start having sex with women quickly like that over here, it's like you falling into their trap. And, you know, you make that commitment. In their eyes, it's a commitment now. We're together. Because there's very few women that, all the women that I really did like that, we eventually had a relationship. 2 years, 10 years, and now almost 7 years, a little bit over 6 years. But I put the pressure on them too soon. You know, certainly in the bedroom, and, you know, like I said, it all added up to this commitment. Because they're saying, okay, I'll do anything for you, but you got to do everything for me. So whenever you think, oh, she's just so cooperative, she's so submissive, you know, there's a price that you pay for that. You know, we can get into some big trouble over here dealing with women, certainly if they think that we did them wrong. And when you enter in these relationships so fast, you're having sex with no condoms. You know, you're asking them to do things they probably never done before. Okay. It could be a problem. Certainly if it doesn't work out. I've been seeing a lot of relationships lately over here that aren't working out. I was just watching a video. I won't say the name of the video, but they've split up. You know, man, one of the big mistakes is, man, we just move too fast, guys. Y'all, for some people, that's what you want to do. You're saying to yourself, man, I've been too lonely over there by myself. I'm ready to get with somebody. But you don't realize that's a mistake. So that's 3 mistakes that I made. Another mistake that you make is we put all our eggs in one basket. If I could go back and do it all over again, before I made the commitments, before I laid down in bed, I would have probably met 3 to 4 women. Not because I'm a player or something like that. No, far from it. But remember, we were talking about buy the car one time. Go ahead and get the car you really want, the car you really need, the one you're not going to have a problem paying that money for. It's the same thing with a relationship. How you going to know you bought the car one time if all you look at is one car? With a relationship, that's why a lot of guys, they're still married. If you look at these relationships where they've been together 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, they got the right woman the first time. They didn't have to come back around. And it just increases your odds of meeting the right one when you talk to more than one woman. When you deal with more than one woman, it's just something that you gotta, that's a demand you have to make. You holding all the cards, guys. Okay? We're not talking about using anybody. We're not talking about mistreating anybody. We're just saying, hey, look, I come all the way 8,000 miles. I bought that ticket. I'm spending all this money. I want to make sure that I get with the right woman. Certainly if that's what I come over here for. You only want to buy the car one time. And I didn't. I bought that thing 3 times. And whenever you start over in a new relationship, man, it's just more money you're going to have to spend. A lot more money. Money that really you don't have. You think you got it. But these are mistakes that we make. Nobody's perfect. But why even watch these videos if you're not going to do what the people suggest you do? Or learn from the mistakes they made. Why even watch them? Are you watching this for entertainment or something? Because I know a lot of guys, that's what you like to watch. You like to watch guys bouncing from one woman to the other. They're on the motorcycle going around the Philippines, fooling all these women. That's what you want to see, but you don't learn anything from them. And you end up falling into the same traps that everybody else falls into. I'm talking about relationship mistakes I made over here in the Philippines, so you don't have to make them if you're listening, but you're not going to listen. Men don't listen. We think, well, who's sunshine shoulders? Look at the mistakes you make. Who are you to listen to? I'm the perfect one to listen to. I did everything that you're going to eventually do. It's very few people who come over here, man, and do it right. Remember, we don't get lucky, we get unlucky. So guys will make you think, oh, I did everything right. But look at the woman I got. No, you're in the 8,000 mile club. You don't get lucky over here. Most of the women you meet are good women over here. But you take credit for that. Your picker didn't work in your country. But all of a sudden, your picker's working over here. You want to take credit. I was watching a video the other day from a popular vlogger. He's interviewing some guy, and look, guys, you make yourself look stupid when you bragging about having a woman over here, the quality of woman that you got. A chicken's a chicken, remember? But you look real stupid. It's just that most of the women over here, they're good women. We stick our necks out to be chopped off. They just don't chop them off. I'm saying don't stick your neck out to begin with. You don't have to. These are elementary mistakes that we all make, grown men make when we come over here. We get all excited. We give our power away. We're under the impression that she has all the cards when you have all the cards. It's just how it is. I'm going to prove that to you. Okay, remember, we're not talking about putting anybody down. We're not talking about mistreating anybody. We're just talking about a relationship, a partnership, basically an agreement. And one person's bringing in more to the relationship than the other. Remember, you're coming 8,000 miles. You're buying that expensive plane ticket. You're making that 20-hour flight. When you get here, you're paying for the hotel, the restaurant, the resorts, the island hopping, the lechon, everything. Okay, so yeah, you have the right to make some demands. You have the right to expect certain things. But thank y'all so much for stopping by. I just need to go back to making these videos every now and then. I take for granted that people really know what they're doing when they get over here. The dating site is just the beginning. And for some of us, it's the beginning of the end. The guy asked me, he says, yeah, what's the 5 things to look for on a dating site? Man, that's just the beginning. Most of us end up buying the car 2, 3, 4, 5 times over here because we do everything wrong. We don't follow anybody's instructions, anybody's suggestions, anybody's advice. We think we know what to do. You don't know what to do. So if you're in America, if you're in the Philippines, wherever you are, find in your heart to help somebody. Now the day goes by and I don't help somebody. We're going to spin the wheel tonight again. Because if I don't know anything else, I know this one thing for sure. When we help other people, we help ourselves. Take care. Stay safe. Stay out of trouble. I'll see you next time. Don't do anything stupid. Start looking at these vlogs and these videos to learn. Certainly if you're going to come over here. If you're never going to come over here and deal with women and deal with relationships, yeah, it could be entertainment. But if you're going to come over here, if you're going to meet somebody, man, why take all those risks when you don't have to? The biggest risk you're taking is buying that ticket, flying 20 hours. You're already doing enough. You're already jumping through hoops, turning flips, spinning around in circles already before you even meet the woman. So you can do some things and know some things up front that's going to help your results when you get over here. You don't have to buy the car 2, 3, 4, 5 times like I did. You can buy it one time if you follow some of these directions, guys. Take care. I got a members only live stream later, man. But that video that I'm going to do with Marilyn later, it's going to be a good one, man. I'm going to prove to you, very little about the woman that you're chatting with, the woman you're sleeping with, maybe that you've already married.